Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Henry Yoshida on the line, and he's co-founder over at Rocket Dollar. Henry, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hi, how's it going, Adam? Thanks for having me today.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today. So we're, of course, going to get into Rocket Dollar and also how making private market investing accessible to everyday investors. So we'll get into that. We'll get into your journey and more. But to get us kicked off, we'll start this episode the way that we like to start them, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Henry, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. Henry, what mission matters to you?
The mission for me is I have a real passion. I love sharing information about financial literacy, financial planning, and kind of started just from childhood in that my parents were immigrants to the United States and never got acclimated into society, and quite frankly didn't know any of these rules and didn't do very well financially, which affected my brother and I growing up. But just kind of became my thing by accident. But that's what I'm known for now.
Yeah. Love bringing mission-based individuals on the line to share, why they do what they do, how they do it, and really what we can all learn from that, so we all grow together. So great to have you here. And I guess let's go further into that story. I mean, your initial, how'd you get into finance, or maybe even go further back? Like, what are some of your earlier memories of how you started learning about finance?
So I've been asked this before. My first memory of money was actually, I went to Japan for the summer. My parents sent us off. They had to work in restaurants, so they couldn't go with us. My brother and I were sent off to go stay with relatives in Japan for 2 months, and we were 11 and 9 at the time. And we actually didn't want to go. We hated it, even though now going to Japan is kind of the coolest thing.
That's like my dream. I'm trying to get hired out there. I need a gig. If you're in Japan and you need a host, you bring me out. Okay, sorry, I had to do it.
Yeah.
You didn't want to go. It's amazing.
Yeah. So first money memory for me was that on the day we're supposed to come back, my grandmother actually opens up a floorboard underneath her kitchen table, and there's about $10,000 in United States cash, like U.S. bills, and they want us to basically sneak it back into the United States. So hopefully there's a statute of limitations here that I can't get taken in, but we basically just took the money back, and that was just an early money memory. The one that kind of created my mission, though, was that my parents, they worked in the restaurant industry and they never really got a break. One was a server, the other was a cook at a Japanese restaurant. My mom was career at Benihana's as a server, and my dad actually did the hibachi style cooking, where they did the shows in front of you until he got older, and then he switched to just more something more tame instead of flipping knives around. And you do actually get cut. So I remember he used to hurt himself every now and then. But they got a little bit of money from relatives that we didn't know well in Japan, decided to use it to, one, save up money, start a restaurant, but two, actually also invest that money. So they got hooked up with a financial person that got recommended to them and went into an investment deal that went bust. So they lost all the money. So my first experience for them was that, the first time they came into any sort of windfall of money, and we're talking like, $50,000 for them. So this isn't a lot. But they got kind of swindled out of it. And this was in the late 80s, early 90s. So I was just old enough to remember. I was kind of, going from middle school to high school at that time. And just made me sort of think about that. For me, I want to grow up and I want to know the rules. I need to know how America works. That was literally my mission. And that led me to try to become a lawyer, oddly enough. But when push came to shove, couldn't afford to go to law school, so I ended up taking a job in financial services, never left. But I was really driven by the when you're not acclimated into the society, people can take advantage of you. And the only way you can prevent that from happening is that you got to know the rules. And the people that know the rules in the United States are lawyers. They become senators, congressmen, judges, and presidents, and so forth. So I just thought that law was the way I need to go. I need to know the rules, so then nothing bad happens to me and I can help other people. So didn't end up working out that way, but I think the underlying foundation of that was just, understanding money. And I ended up taking a different path because there was limited money, couldn't go to law school, ended up getting the financial services and got into this niche for retirement accounts ever since the beginning of my days financial services and never left since. It's been 25 years.
Wow. I'm a big fan of the financial services industry. And I'm going to ask you I want to ask you kind of like a pay it forward here question, Henry, because I feel like many of the individuals that are coming up right now are looking for different ways to contribute, to help people, other things. And you don't hear it talked about that much. I guess maybe it's not super sexy for social media or like certain things, but I grew up in the financial services industry. My long-term viewers know that. So I was in the business almost 14 years, and it was an amazing place to work and to grow and to learn. And there's some amazing like salt of the earth type people that are attracted to that profession, because it's not easy, number one, but it's a really intimate relationship with your clients, especially if you're on the advising side, because you're literally helping them manage their lives, their kids going to college. Like, big things that are going to happen in their life are based many times off of that relationship. So can you talk a little bit about your experience and maybe even just like what that was as a career opportunity for let's just call it the next generation coming up? Because I really think it's something people should be considering.
Sure. The part of financial services, it really tapped into the mission that we started this show about, was helping regular individuals. So truth be told, when I started, this was Merrill Lynch in the year 2000. So the internet bubble was bursting at that time. I live in a tech-centric town, Austin, Texas, and it wasn't doing well. So when I started, it was very difficult to do what Merrill Lynch wanted us to do, which was to go and get clients who had $1 million or more. And then help them and get them to move their money into Merrill Lynch so that we could, put them into investment products or investment vehicles and so forth. But I couldn't do that. I was a 21-year-old kid coming out of college, no experience, no network. So the niche that I got into was actually doing these retirement plans. And then, the part that I really liked was that I was able to fulfill the requirements of this Merrill Lynch program, which was a sales program. So I would tell people that if you're thinking about getting into this industry, it's not really Wall Street. It's actually, working with folks to convince them to work with your firm so that you can guide them. And the part that really appealed to me was that by doing 401k plans, because I couldn't get wealthy individual clients wouldn't work with a 21-year-old kid with no experience. But I was able to get these small business 401k plans. I ended up being the break room and the lunchroom guy. So that was kind of my nickname for almost 10 years, in that I did these presentations and just told strangers with these little booklets back then that, hey, if you put away a dime of every dollar that you earn, or a nickel of every dollar that you earn, put it into this retirement account. It's good from a tax standpoint. You lower your income, and 20 years down the road, you might look up and realize it was the best decision you ever made. You won't remember me. You won't remember the breakfast taco. We live in Texas, so it's breakfast tacos, not donuts. But you won't remember that. But you'll remember that one moment, that one decision you made may have been the best financial decision of your life. And the kind of pay it forward for me is that, if you're someone and you're watching this and you're 30 or you're 40 or you're 50 and know these conversations, what you would tell a 20-year-old version of yourself. And even though, we all can't do the Back to the Future DeLorean to go back in time, you can reach out to a younger person and kind of give them that advice to say that, hey, look, start at this point in your life, a nickel of every dollar you earn, you don't earn that much money, is not going to be that significant for you, but it'll be very significant at some point in time in the future. So I always try to tell groups of people when I talk to them that if you're 50, talk to someone who's 30. If you're 40, talk to someone who's 20. If you're 30, talk to someone who's 15, and start to impart some of this advice, some of the things that you wish you knew as it relates to money, at that age. If only one person had taken the time to tell you, it makes a massive difference.
It's great. Love you sharing that, because I like to bring other perspectives here, especially for the next generation, on what they, opportunities in the market for them to learn, to grow, and to, and to work too, ultimately to work and make a good living. Let's switch it up a bit here, Henry. Let's spend some time on Rocket Dollars. So first off, how do you want to tee this up? Tell us a little bit about the company.
So, and I mentioned a little while ago that I spent 25 years working with retirement accounts. I've seen it all. So I've been with these companies that were just starting a retirement plan, and they only had 5 or 10 employees, and then kept growing throughout my career. Started consulting on much larger plans. So it's always been in this 401k, IRA, or tax qualified or tax advantage space. And what led me to start Rocket Dollar was actually a learning from the failure of my last business. That business was acquired by a large organization, Goldman Sachs, but it didn't succeed. But it was a great idea. So at that time, the business that we sold, we had started a business that was allowing gig economy workers, which was 2014, 15, 16, to set away monies in tax advantage Roth IRAs towards their retirement. It was a great idea, but going after individual customers wasn't a very good business model for us. So, and then the ones that we went after were just really struggling to get their business afloat and doing gig economy work to stay afloat as well. So the learnings led into Rocket Dollar, and I had the domain. There's a meaning behind the name of the company too, which was I had the idea of creating a company that would allow people to go further, farther into different places with their money that they couldn't go to before. So obviously, if you have a rocket, you can go to space, but if you have a car, you're kind of limited to the road and the highways and so forth. But the genesis behind Rocket Dollar was having this understanding that the public stock market had grown by market cap, but actually had shrunk quite significantly in the number of options that you can invest in. So there used to be 10 to 12,000 publicly traded companies at the turn of the century that you can invest in, and now there's less than 4,000. So companies don't go public anymore; they stay private. And how do people access investments in these private markets? Well, other people are creating products, they're creating investment vehicles, and they're creating platforms to do that. So that was a crowded space. I just thought that what no one was thinking about is that, well, even if you create the access, where are people going to get the money from? And therein lies the I knew tax advantage retirement accounts. At the time, there were about $27 trillion in those accounts. There's 35 trillion today in 2025. And if I can help individuals easily access the money in their retirement accounts to go into private investments, I could be this sort of picks and shovels person in this private and alternative investment market. And hence that was the idea for Rocket Dollar, and it's been 7.5 years since.
Wow.
And now $12 billion.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. And what are some of the, and I'm not asking you to give financial advice. Obviously somebody has to, if somebody's watching this and they need financial advice, they should talk to an advisor, right? But, and somebody that's going to manage their individual situation. But what are some of, like, broadly speaking, what are some of the benefits of being able to diversify by using something like a Rocket Dollar?
Well, it may be, there's probably a financial and a personal / mission-based answer to that question. Is that after you accumulate a certain amount of money, for your investment portfolio, and that's what's appropriate or what's needed is probably adjusted based on your income, based on your age, and how much longer you plan to work. But what we found is that when people get to a certain stage of investable assets, so let's just say it's a six-figure amount and so forth, that they may get uncomfortable that really all that money is kind of concentrated in these public market investments, which now total only 4,000, but it could be argued that most of the returns for the last 2 years or so have been driven by the top 7 of these companies that are all concentrated in the technology sector. And you take a portion of that money, open up a Rocket Dollar account, and you may decide to invest in a friend's startup company for a small amount of that money, or if you have more money, you can purchase real estate. And this is where the mission comes in, right? You maybe believe in your friend, or you believe in your local community, and you want to purchase a house, a rental house, for example, for $150,000, which is 25% of your $600,000 401k at the age of 50 years old, for example. And you like that mission sort of is you're taking the money out of this Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, big global conglomerate technology company world, and buying a rental house 30 miles away from you on the other side of town, which now you're reinvesting in your own community, quite literally. And that investment, it's an investment to you, but it's actually now a home base for your tenants. So maybe they could raise their family. You bought a rental house in a nice, quiet neighborhood down the street from an elementary school, and someone's going to rent that home from you who also lives in your community. And they are fulfilling your needs to provide income and your growth as an investor. You're fulfilling their needs and the needs of the community by providing affordable housing to someone. And this is now money that's no longer going into the coffers of Tesla, Meta platforms, or Nvidia.
Yeah. What is the talk to me about kind of like the user experience for this? Like how complicated is it to like I'm like take me through the process. I'm a new client. I'm like, oh wow, I watched this interview and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Like how does
Sure.
somebody like walk me through the experience?
So the thing I learned at the beginning was that the only way to make this work is
Hmm.
to make the account opening and the account creation process ubiquitous, similar to what people know
Yeah.
now. So people know now that they go through a few screens. If you're opening a bank account or an
Hmm.
investment account, you're pretty much expected to get asked your full legal name, your
Of course.
address, your social security number, because it's an
Yeah.
investment account in the United States, and you know it's
Know your
tied to
client.
that, of
Yep.
course. Know your client, and then later verify by uploading a picture of a driver's
Hmm.
license. So the onboarding interface for Rocket Dollar to open an account,
Yeah.
and besides the fact that it's an IRA that can access alternative investments, I'll get to that part. But the
Yeah.
opening process is no different than the large brokerage houses or with your financial advisor. You just go in,
Hmm.
you type in this information, you upload a copy of your driver's license front and back so we can do an ID verification, and you have an account number right there for Rocket Dollar to access private and alternative investments. Now, the caveat after that is that our customers typically have their own investments they want to do. So this is the part
Hmm.
where they've already decided that they want to invest in this company or buy this piece of real estate or invest in
Yeah.
this real estate deal as it's a syndication, and they want to buy a $25,000 or $50,000 unit. They already know that part. We just help them access money that they already have that's already geared
Mm.
and earmarked for long-term holding with great tax treatment to go into these investments. But so you asked about the interface. The interface opening the account takes about 3 minutes, no different than any other online platform for opening an
Hmm.
investment or bank account. You get the account number, and once that's there, you're able to use the online system to transfer in money from an outside 401k or
Mm.
IRA account to us. And once those funds are there, then you're just executing this private investments like any other way that you would. So if you found a
Mm.
property, you're going to go through the process. You just need to make sure that you purchase that property in the name of your IRA, but we assist you with that part in
Yeah.
deploying and funding that investment.
Yeah.
So the idea was to make it similar but different.
Mm.
So there's
And
just
I think that's come a long way for self-directed. Once upon a time, you go
well,
back far enough, and it was kind of like the wild, wild west. What I see this is, as I see it, and not understanding all that, maybe the compliance and some things where
sure.
there has to be precedent for the IRS and all that. But now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's pretty mature. It's a mature industry. Like it's a mature thought
It's
process. And
mature in that there are a few $100 billion overall in
yeah.
self-directed IRAs. So you use that term, so I'll explain that. So self-directed IRAs is the terminology for
Hmm.
a IRA account that allows individuals to invest in private and alternative investments. So it's not
Mm.
a great term, but then again, this isn't the most creative of industries either. So
Yeah,
uh,
depending.
depending, I mean, for example, your retirement plan is called
Mm.
401k because out of this 6 million word document for the IRS code, it just happens to be under section 401k subsection K. So they
Mm.
decided that's a good name. That just kind of
Yeah.
stuck. But for your retirement account. So again, great execution, not so great
Mm.
from a marketing standpoint. But when people, you're right, it has come a long way, but
Mm.
just keeping it using modern technology, and I wouldn't even say modern, this is just
Mhm.
onboarding flow for opening an account. It
Yeah.
gives a sense of familiarity to the client that, hey,
Mhm.
I know how to open this account. I know how to do this. And then going into those private investments, this is something that people are already looking at right
Mhm.
now. There's a big appetite for this right now, and it could be for a number of reasons. People, certain segments of the population might think that the stock market is overvalued. Other ones have accumulated quite a bit of assets and they just
Mhm.
want to flat and straight diversify. Others may feel like they have more control or they like the idea of going into tangible things or
Yeah.
reinvesting back into things in their community from a tangible real estate perspective.
Mhm.
There could be a number of reasons, but it's just become big. But it's mature in that
Mm.
there's $300 billion, but that's the numerator over a $35 trillion denominator
Yeah.
now. So mature in that we're not the first people to come up with this idea.
Mhm.
I would say it's far from being mainstream though.
Yeah. Henry, I want to spend some of the time that we have left here getting into some of your content creation. I understand you have a podcast, Rocket Your Dollar podcast. I know you have your personal brand, Fit Finance Henry. You're doing a lot of different things here. And I know one of your parts of your mission is to create content and to put that out there so that others can learn. So obviously you have a company, Rocket Dollar, but you're educating
Sure.
people on a lot of things that have to do with finance. So what fuels your ideas when it comes to creation? Whether again it's the podcast, Rocket Your Dollar podcast, or your personal brand, or anything else, like what fuels that for you?
Well, for me, the putting the content out there is just an easy way to reach a large group of people. So,
Mhm.
in a sense, the only thing that I do from a work standpoint or from a sales standpoint is to sell Rocket Dollar accounts. So,
Mhm.
everything else for me is just about maybe what you said, the paying it forward and giving people
Yeah.
information and letting them know that one, IRAs are capable of investing in private and alternative investments.
Mhm.
If you look at our particular platform and evaluate us against others, and that's your choice as a consumer, you're going to find that we're easier, we're more transparent
Mm.
in pricing, and we've done everything possible to try to make it familiar, easy to you from a customer-centric standpoint. Like you said, years ago was the
Mhm.
Wild Wild West. And then, maybe last, it's just that it became the medium for us to reach the broadest number of people
Yeah.
that whether they become our customers at Rocket Dollar or not, whether I know them directly or not. I feel like I have this duty or obligation with some of the things that we've done in the past, some of the things that I know, to really
Mm.
just inform people. So across that Fit Finance Henry, across the Rocket Dollar channels, and even on the rocketdollar.com website, we actually have more than 500 articles. So one of the things that we've noticed
Mm.
is that we don't do digital marketing for the rocketdollar.com platform,
Yeah.
but a lot of search results come in and they look up our articles. So when people start to actually look up in a chat GPT or in a
Yeah.
Google search, real estate and an IRA, the actual number one returned item now is an article that we wrote in the early days of the company explaining how you might use an IRA to purchase real estate. So it's
Mm.
just been really fulfilling to put that content out there. The personal one is kind of tying a little bit more into you as an individual and less as an alternative investment, which is that
Yeah.
kind of combining in the intersection of your own health and wellness as it relates to finance. And because I've always told people in that medium on Instagram at Fit Finance Henry that there's no point in saving money and having money for retirement if you're not going to be healthy enough to actually enjoy it or use it. So those two things don't compute if you're not together.
Mhm. Yeah. Henry, this has been a lot of fun, man. I'm so happy I could have you on the show. What's next for you? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for Rocket Dollar?
So with Rocket Dollar, we are looking. We have. We're looking at adding more asset classes, the ability
Mm.
for our customers. So right now, we heavily rely on people to bring their own deals. We want to put ourselves in a position in early 2026 to give them more deals, including public market investments as well as private market investments to add to the
Mm.
deals that they brought to the table on their own. We're
Yeah.
at $12 billion in overall assets under custody right now. So I'd say that the next goal for us is to try to hit this $25 billion milestone. And at the rate we're going, it's not going to take us too long to get there.
Yeah.
And, separate from that on a personal standpoint, it's just for me, I want to keep spreading the idea and notion that alternative investments are here to stay. They're
Mm.
going to become a bigger thing. And I feel like in 2025, 2026, in the very near future here, people are going to make private investments using with their monies, average American retail investors.
Mm.
It's going to become mainstream the way that buying individual stocks became mainstream at the turn of the century. So when I started my career, it was very taboo for an individual who was not a professional advisor to buy any share of stock, single company stock on their
Yeah.
own. And now I would say that our younger generations actually think that that's more normal, and working with an advisor for an entire portfolio is less
Mm.
normal. But I think that the alternative investment will be ubiquitous in the next 5 years.
Love it. Henry, how do people follow up? How do they connect with you? How do they learn more about Rocket Dollar?
Sure. I would go to rocketdollar.com first of all. So
Mhm.
a couple things there. I present ourselves as this whiz bang technology company, but we actually have a phone number there. So 855-762-5383. You can find us there.
Yeah.
You can find us across all social channels. And if you choose to follow me, obviously, Adam, you mentioned it. It's that Fit Finance Henry. So
Mhm.
handle.
Fantastic.
But the rocketdollar.com, call us. We answer the phone, 5 days a week, only 3 this week with the holiday coming up. But we'll be there. Leave a voicemail, and we'll give you a call back, and just to answer your questions. I mean, we're there not to sell the accounts. We're there to empower and educate people on alternative investments and IRAs.
Wonderful. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes, so you can just click on the links and head right on over and check out Rocket Dollar. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Henry, man, appreciate it. Thanks for making some time for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Adam.